I'd like to welcome you to the third chapter of the book of Zephaniah. We'll continue in reading the Greek. O e epiphanes ke apolalitromeni polis hyperistera. O the prominent, the epiphanes. We have the word epiphany as an English derivative. Prominent. Epiphany is a manifestation. It's used as for the epiphany of arrival of Jesus in great glory, prominent return. It's not just somebody is returning and home and nobody knows about it, but it's a epiphany, a prominent return. And ransom, polis, metropolis being the derivative, and we again see the purple or blue highlighted articles, the definite articles in the nominative. Could be nominative feminine, as in the case of the ones in the top line, in the singular or in the plural, and could be masculine, feminine, and neuter. And so the dove, the prominent city, the dove. 3:2 it continues, uk isikuse phonis su, uk edexato, paithian epi to kyrio, uk apepithi, ke proston theon aftes uk egisen. So it's talking about Jerusalem here and the ransomed city, the prominent. God ransomed his people and made them this choice, chosen people, and put them in to the city of Jerusalem through David taking over this Jebusite city and making it his capital, the city of David, Zion. And but they did not adhere to the things of the Lord. It says, uk isikuse, the iku. We have acoustics. She did not listen. And the is makes it more towards in the inside, taking it in, not only vocal in the ear, but inside. She did not listen, or hearken could be another word you could use here. She did not hearken to your phonies, the telephone, the voice. She did not take instruction. She had not relied upon epidermal, upon the skin, the kyrio, the Lord. And two, pros, we have prosthetic, something that's towards the body. It's not pro. Pro is before, but pros is more attached. And two, her God, theon, theology being the derivative, she did not approach. So the city of Jerusalem didn't listen to instruction and did not even approach to God. They even set up idol worship and went to other gods during this period of time and before. In verse 3 it continues, E archontes aftes en afte os leontes oriomeni, e crite aftes os liki tis aravias, uk epeliponto isto proi. Her rulers, archontes, we have archons, the monarch comes from that word, and archon. Her rulers are among her, or as leontes, lions, almost a direct transliteration, roaring, oriomeni. Her judges are as wolves of Aravias, direct transliteration into Arabia. They did not remain behind into the morning. So there are these people that were doing these things weren't continuing doing what they did. They didn't remain because of God's changing the situation. Then verse 4 it continues, E profite aftes pneumatophori andres kataphonin iris aftes. I'm sorry. The break there wasn't very good. Her prophets, the prophete, are men. Andros, we have android. Pneumatophori, we have pneumatics, has to do with wind, air. Pneuma, number 4151, and phori, phosphoric, light-bearing, the phoric, 5409 is that word. The men are carried by the wind. They're despisers, kataphronite. They're against. Kata is the prefix for against, and phronite, phron, has to do with the mind, the phrein, opinion. They are despisers. Ieris avtis vevilusi ta agia, ke asevusin is ton nomon. Her priests, the Ieris, were hieroglyphic, chiefly writing, priestly writing, are profane. They profane the holy things, or the sanctuary, and they are impious against the nomon, the law, astronomy, being the derivative. O de Kyrios, Dikeos, en meso avtis, ke umi pc adikon, proi, dosi krima avtu is phos, ke uk apekrivi, ke uk egno adikian in apaitisi, ke uk is nikos adikian. But the Lord, the Kyrios, is righteous. The righteous Lord in this case is an adjective, is in the midst of her, in, the preposition, meso, Mesopotamia, the middle. Meso is a common prefix in English, something in the middle. But the Lord is, the righteous Lord is in the midst of her. In no way shall he do. The P, we had that before with the poet, one doer. He shall not do an unjust thing. Morning by morning, he, that is Yahweh, executes judgment. Krima, crime is a derivative and has to do with the judicial system. His judgment is in phos, light, phosphoric, light bearing, as we mentioned earlier, phos. And it was not concealed. So his judgment, everything he does is not concealed, as the things that of Satan are all in the dark, but God is in the light. And he does not know injustice, egno. We have the Gnostics, the knowers. He does not know injustice by exaction. He's not bribed with a bribe. And injustice, and neither injustice by altercation. Nobody's going to force his hands to be afraid and judge unjustly. In 3:6 continues, katespasa iperifanus, ifanis thison gonie afton, exerimatso tas odhus afton, to parapan to me theodevin, exelipon e polis afton, thea to medena eparkin, methe katikin. It says, I tore down the proud, the Iperifanus, there's the orange, that means you can add that in English derivatives. It doesn't appear there if you'd like. And it comes from the two words, hyper and phenomenal. Hyper, the hyper and phanus is something that's, you can see it, that's obvious. And so the super obvious, the proud, their corners were obliterated. Ephanis, the sun. The phanis, the phan has to do with phantom. They were obliterated, became invisible more or less. I shall make quite desolate, that maybe should have been highlighted, the eremo, the hermit, and then X making it even more so, quite desolate. I will make quite desolate their ways, the odhus, cathode being a derivative of the way of a current, thoroughly, so as to not travel through. So God is going to destroy, do things into Jerusalem so as people could not even travel through it. It was destroyed by the Babylonians who were coming after this period of time, and then it was again destroyed in 70 AD by the Romans. Which time he's talking about here we'll have to see by the different clues that we are given. Their cities vanished, polis, metropolis, by reason of no one to exist nor to dwell in them. This happened in all the cities of that area in Israel and Judah, where no one was living there, and for the period of the Babylonian captivity and the Roman, after the Roman era. 3:7 it continues, Ipa plin, foviste me, ke vexaste paithian, ke umi exolothrevtheti, ex ophthalmon aftis. Panta osa exadikisa epaftin, etimazu, or thrizon, Diephtarte, pasa e epiphilis afton. And he said, I said, furthermore, fear me, the phobos, fear, phobia, fear me and receive instruction. And in no way shall you be utterly destroyed before her eyes, ophthalmon, the her being the be possibly as the city of Jerusalem in her eyes, these other places. And the ophthalmon, we have ophthalmology. So he's God saying to fear him and that you won't be destroyed, as Jerusalem was, for all panta as much vengeance as I brought upon her. And so God is bringing this vengeance against Jerusalem. Prepare. Rise early. All their gleaning is ruined. Sort of the prophecy that Jesus gave of the time of the Roman legions coming and how to flee into the mountains, and all these things bad things were going to be happen. And Jesus says on the way to the cross about if these happen in the green grass, imagine what's going to happen in the dry. In verse 3:8 it continues, on account of this wail, viatuto ipomenon. For me, says Legi Kyrios, is imeron Anastasios mu, is martyrion, diotitokrima mu, is synagogas ethnon, to is dexaste vasilis, to eche ep aftus, tin origin mu, pasan origin thimu, dioti empiri zilu mu, katanalothisate, pasa e ye. So says the Lord, for the day, the ephemeral of my rising up, the Anastasios, the Anastasis was a ship that was around, has to do with the rising of Christ. Is that what he's talking about, the day of my rising up? Or is he talking about here at rising up as God, sovereign God, the Almighty, the Pantocrator over the people in might? His rising up could be either one so far. For a testimony, a martyrion, we have a martyr as a person that witnessed something. For the judgment, my judgment, krima, with crime, shall be for a gathering, a synagogas, a synagogue, a gathering of ethnon, of nations, to take kings, vasilis, to pour out upon them, the basilica being the derivative for the kings, to pour out upon them all of my anger, orgin. And so this rising up and then afterwards this judging of nations, after the Babylonian captivity, the people came back to Jerusalem, but there was no judgment of nations that I see that happened there. And the Romans took over afterwards, and things got worse for them. And when they came back from this captivity. But then it talks about after his rising up, then there's going to be this gathering of nations. So I don't see that as the Babylonian or the Roman period. To me, it hasn't happened yet. What do you think? It says, all of my anger, the anger of my rage. We mentioned that in the last chapter, the orgin, the anger, the thimu, fume. And we went over that in the pamphlet on the day of the rage or the anger of the Lord, or the day of the anger of the Lord. We'll go here now, follow these numbers. For all, 1, the earth, the geology. 4, shall be consumed. 5, by. 6, the fire, and the is added by myself, and the italics shows that. Piri, a pyromaniac, pyre, the fire of my zeal. That's a direct transliteration from zeal. So it's all going to be because of God's zeal. In verse 9 it continues. Otipote metastrepso epileus glosson is genian aftis to epikaliste pontus to onomakiriou to thulevin afto epozigon enna. For then I will transfer epi upon laos, the peoples, plural, laity, one tongue. It doesn't say one tongue. It could be a tongue. For I will transfer upon peoples a tongue for her generation. The glosson, here we have glossolalia. It has to do with the static speech is what the English word means, but what is it talking about here? I will transfer upon peoples a tongue or one tongue for her generation. Genion, a generation. It's almost a direct transliteration. For all to call upon epikalis the, to epi upon, and call upon, all upon, to call upon the name. Onomatopoeia was a derivative, has to do with a word taking the sound, spelling of the sound, or a nomenclature, the name of the Lord. Kyriou, the Kyrie eleison. Derivative, to serve him under hypodermic, under is hypo, under one yoke, zygon, zygote for the people that are in the biology, a spore formed by 2 gametes, so the dictionary says. I'm not a scientist or a biologist, but that's a zygote. I remember that in high school biology, so it kind of remembers it has something to do with this is a yoke. It has to do with and in this case, it has to do with the yoke that the oxen had, the wooden stock that they would put on the shoulders of the oxen, and two oxen would pull. And so I will transfer upon the peoples one tongue, so they're going to be under one yoke. What's it talking about here? Could he be talking about the ecclesia, the New Testament, the church, speaking but they were speaking in the tongues plural. So I'm not quite sure in there, but under one yoke. Interesting there. We could have done. Might want to go up and look under 22:18 in the lexical concordance and see how that's used in the New Testament. I haven't done all these words. It'd take me forever if I looked up every word and got all the different usages in it in the different testaments, but we will be going through all these words and putting them together in the word pamphlets, but these words have not yet been done. I might have done glosson. That would have been a good one to do, but I didn't, so we'll just continue here. Another one you could study is the 1100, the tongue. So 310 it continues, ekperaton potamon Aethiopias, ipodexome tus, diasparmenus mu, isusi thesiasmata emi. So from eccentric, from the center, from the limits of the rivers, the potamon, the Potomac River and Washington, D.C. River of Ethiopia. I will welcome the ones of mine having been dispersed. They shall bring sacrifices to me. So the people that have been dispersed are going to come back, from what I see right here, that are from the limits of the rivers of Ethiopia, all down through Egypt. Many of the Jews, after Jeremiah, fled into Egypt and spread around in that area. And one part of Alexandria, one quarter was the Jewish quarter. 3:11 it continues. Enti imera akini umi katai skin this ek panton ton epiti thevmaton su on isevisas is eme oti pote perielo aposu ta favlismata tis ivreo su ke uketi mi prosthis tu megalahise epi to oros to agion mu. In preposition, in that imera, day, ephemeral, in no way shall you be disgraced from all from panton, all of your practices, which you were impious against me. So they're no longer going to be disgraced. God's not going to cause them to be destroyed or anything, because they are going to be changed. And they're not going to be the same people that were in the days of the destruction of Israel with the Babylonians and the Romans, but it's going to be different. For then I shall remove from you, apology, a word from you, the careless attitudes of your insolence. They had an insolence that they knew everything, that they had the truth, that they were the chosen people, and therefore they became careless, having this type of title put on you or yourself, and you start thinking that you are what this title is, even though it's really, the title is offered or given to you by some other power. You can be a king that has been had the crown put on because of heredity, or you can be a president who has been voted in, or you can be, in this case, a chosen people. But this attitude of this can get out of whack, and in this case they became insolent and careless towards it, and no longer should you proceed to make great brag over my holy mountain. That's interesting. Or not going to be, it's not going to be Jerusalem, theirs only, but it's going to change. They're not going to have this bragging over this mountain, Oros. We have an orology is study of mountains. Verse 13, 12, it continues. Ke ipolipsome en si leon prain, ke tapinon, ke evlavithesonte apo tu onomatos kyriou. And I will leave behind among you, or in you, it could be in, a gentle prain. Here's a pronunciation that's a little bit different. That we have the diaeresis, and where the alpha, epsilon are together, but the it's not an av. It would normally be if it didn't have the double dots above the epsilon, but it does. So you split this into two separate vowels and pronounce each one of them. So it's pra-in, a gentle people, leon, a laity, and humble. And they shall show reverence at the name, the onomatos, nomenclature of the Lord. 3:13, ikatalipi to Israel, keu piisusin adhikian, keu lalisusi matea, keu mi of rathi, ento stomati afton, glossa, tholia, theoti afti, nemisonte, ke kitasthisonte, ke uk este o ekfovon aftus. The remnant, there's the nominative, the subject, the remnant of Israel, and they shall not piisusin do or commit, in this case, 4160, the poet, iniquity. So it's going to be different. They're not going to be doing iniquity at this period. God somehow is going to cause this state to be. And they shall not speak. Lalisusi, we have lalia, glossolalia, ecstatic speech is a derivative. They shall not speak vanity. And in no way should there be found in their stomati, the mouth, the stomatic, have in their mouth a deceitful glossa. The glossa is a tongue. And it also has to do with the language. This study of the glossa and the dialectos is interesting with languages and tongues and how they correspond to each other. Should you take it literal for a tongue or should you take it figuratively for a language? And it gets into glossolalia in the New Testament of this language during the day of Pentecost of what they were speaking in these languages, and glossa, but it says they're speaking, that it mentions the languages that they were speaking. So the tongue is also language, a deceitful speech. For they shall feed and shall lay in bed, and there will not be one ekphovon frightening them. The ekphovon, the fear, and the ek heightens it, frightening them. 3:14. Haere thigatir Sion, Kirise thigatir Jerusalem, Ephrainu ke kataterpu, ex olis tis cardia su, thigatir Jerusalem. Haere, cheer, rejoice. Haere, cheer is a derivative. Thigatir, daughter, and the thigatir, O daughter of Zion. Sion. Kirise, proclaim it out loud. O daughter of Jerusalem, be glad. Ephrainu, we have ephrasy, to delight, is the English derivative. Be glad and delight yourself with your entire heart. Olis, Catholic. We have the Catholic, the olic, all. Holo is a prefix. With your entire cardias, the cardiac arrest, the heart. O daughter of Jerusalem. And it continues. Peri ile Kyrios ta adikimatasu. The Lord removed your offenses, the adikimatasu. He has ransomed lelitrote. He has ransomed you, ek heros, from the hand. The chiropractor is the derivative, from the hand of your enemies. Ek thron su. Vasilefs Israel, Kyrios en meso su, uk opsi kaka uketi. The king of Israel, the Lord. I put the king in here. A king of Israel, the Lord. Doesn't quite sound makes sense, but the king of Israel, the Vasilefs, the basilica, the Kyrios en meso su. You shall not see kaka, bad things, any longer. Into Cairo Aquino eri Kyrios ti Jerusalem. Tharsis Sion mi paristosen e hires su. In that time, says Kyrios to Jerusalem, Tharsi, be of courage, Sion. Do not neglect your hands. Hiresu, the chiropractor, do not neglect your hands. Well, sometimes this hands have to do with collecting money and giving alms in other places, and it was a sort of a figure of speech. Do not neglect your hands. Be of courage and do things. 3:17 continues. Kyrios o theosu in si, o dinato, sosi se, epaxe epi se ephrosini, ke kainii se enti agapisi aftu, ke ephron thesate epi si interpsi os en imera iortis, Kyrios o theosu in si. O Thinatos, the mighty, dynamic. Sosi, it's he shall deliver you. We in New Testament, King James, it was save. And in many places, this salvation, saving, has to do with eternal, when you cross over from death into being with Christ. And this thing is you're being saved. And I like deliver way better because delivering is it's not in the Old Testament. Many places it has nothing to do with this step over from one part of life into this other part after the death of our bodies, but the deliverance. But in this case, the mighty one shall deliver you. And this is he talking here about this changeover? Is he talking about delivered Zion being delivered and changed over? Well, that's what I believe it's talking about here. He shall bring upon you Ephrosini, gladness, euphrasia, delight, and shall revive you in his agapisi. There's the agape with the love and his affection. And he shall be glad, the ephrasia, in this case, he shall be glad. Epi, over you, and with terpsi, delight, as in imera, the ephemeral, is in the day of the holiday. I added feast because that's what they were, the holiday. 3:18 it continues, ke sinaxo tus sin tetrimenu su, ue tis eleven ep aftin only these moan. And I will gather the synaxo, the synagogue, as a noun, here's a verb, to gathering, your once being broken. Oe, woe, any taken scorning upon her. So God is going to take the broken and the scorning away. And then 3:19, Idhu ego pio and si. Behold, I, the ego, personal pronoun, I will act, pio, the doing, in you. I will act in you. Because of you, enikansu in to kairo akino, ke sosotin ek pepias manin, ke tin apos manin, is vexome, ke thesome aftus is kavhima, ke onomastus in pasi tigi. Because of you in that time. And I will, again, deliver her being pressured. It's not save could be well used, but I like delivered, and I think that's a more accurate word. Her being pressured. And I will take her being thrust away. So these people that have been pressured, that have been thrust away by himself and other peoples, and I will establish them for boasting and fame in all the earth, or here land, but to me it seems like earth is a better choice because it's more broad with all these nations. I will establish them for boasting and fame. That's wonderful. It's beautiful. And this people of Jerusalem, of Israel, are no longer going to be shrugged off and cast out of other countries and go through these horrible persecutions throughout the history, and all of a sudden he's going to establish them for boasting and fame in all the earth. And ke katai skin thesonte ento kairo akino oten kalos imin piso ke ento kairo oten is vexome imas, dioti thoso imas onomastus, ke is kavkima in pasi tis leis tis gis, and to epistrepthin tin aikmalosian imon enopion imon legi Kyrios. And their enemies shall be disgraced in that time. So the people that are against Israel will be disgraced whenever I should do well with you, and in the time whenever I should take you in. That's what's there. Whenever this happens, it's going to be a change. For I will make you famous. Onomastus. Onoma is a name. Onomatopoeia with a name. Ono, or a pronoun. Ona. Famous. And for boasting among all the peoples. So in all the earth, and now among all the peoples, the laity of the gays. So it's not only it's going to be among all the peoples. In my returning your captivity before your eyes, says the Lord. So this captivity of returning where? Returning to Israel. It's going to happen. And something is going to happen that is going to cause people to take a notice that in other places the Lord says that he's doing this not because they're a great people, but because he wants the world to know that he is the Lord. And legi Kyrios. So this time of restoration of Israel into being a famous people, I don't see it as happening yet. And we're waiting to see this wonderful time, waiting for it and believe in it, and it will come, and we thank God. And this was the book of Zephaniah, and I hope you will continue with us on the next book. I believe it's going to be Habakkuk, and we'll see you then. God bless.